Welcome back to the Pushing Buttons podcast. It is that time of the year, end of December. Y'all know what that means. It's
Christmas.
It's
New Year's.
It's Game of the Year. Season. Unlike other people, we don't do ours at the beginning of December. We do ours toward the end of December where it makes sense, which is good because there is one game on the list that came out in December after the Game Awards happened. So
Yes, sir.
stay tuned for that. Before we get to the Game of the Year list, I'll explain how we came up with the list. All three of us, me being Kevin, I'm Kevin, by the way.
I'm Robert.
And I'm Kyle.
We all, independently of one another, made a list of games that came out this year that we played and ranked them from 1 to 10 and how, I guess,
Or,
how we enjoy it, from 10 to 1.
We tried to come up with 10 games.
Right.
Some of us, anyway.
Yeah.
There isn't a single game on the list that all three of us played, and there are a lot of ties and tiebreakers and stuff that doesn't really matter. We
Wait,
ended up...
I have a question.
What's up?
So if there's only, two people that played the Game of the Year that we pick,
Uh-huh.
but that wouldn't be the other person's Game of the Year because they never played it.
No, it's the podcast's Game of the Year.
It's the collaboration.
Yeah.
That's why we put points on them. So it was the total.
So
The Game of
whoever ends up not playing the Game of the Year has to play it, right?
I could agree to that.
And stream it?
That's fair.
I don't think that would be very possible.
Understood.
Anyway, before we get to those final 10, there were 5 others that were listed that didn't quite make the cut, but I do want to talk about them, at least some of them. The first of which, first honorable mention for Pushing Buttons podcast, Game of the Year 2018. Honorable mention, World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth. And Kyle's the only one that can talk about that at all.
I mean,
It was a big release for you.
it was a big release. I did enjoy it, but looking back on it as a whole, I feel like this expansion is already kind of dead to me
Wow.
because the new patch came out.
It's honorable for you to mention that.
Well, I mean, I thought I'd be more invested in the game, but
You were when it came out, in
oh yeah,
all
absolutely.
fairness.
I mean, this came out in the summer when it's usually like no high profile games are released.
Yeah.
And, it's always exciting for a Blizzard fan when a new MMO expansion comes out.
Did it change much about the game?
It took a lot away from it,
Oh, okay.
because the game expansion prior to that was Legion. And that was, it was pretty much highly regarded as a good expansion. But this one took a lot out, from player control.
Oh, okay.
It introduced more RNG with the Azerite trait system. But, they released patch 8.1, I think earlier this week, actually, on Tuesday.
So a week ago today.
Basically, yeah, if you're listening today. And... Wait, that made no sense. Ding.
Anyway.
But anyway, I just don't have any urge to go back and play it anytime soon. I'm
Gotcha.
burnt out on it. Yeah, good game, though, at the launch. It was pretty fun.
Honorable mention, number 2. Let's hear Robert's thoughts on Far Cry 5.
I knew it. I didn't play a lot of new games this year, so that's why it's kind of, it was on the list, but it was more towards the bottom. It was a really fun game. I'm a huge fan of the Far Cry series, so it was fun. I had a lot of fun playing.
It's a fun game that you had a fun time with.
A lot of fun.
With fun. Also fun.
But at the same time, it wasn't anything like special or spectacular like some of the other ones higher on the list. There's nothing that set it apart and made it greater than just being a good Far Cry game.
It's like Far Cry 3. Or 4 or whatever.
In your eyes, yeah. But yeah, I did play one of the expansions. I got the other 2, but I haven't played them yet. So it was a good game. Just, it didn't make the cut for being higher.
GG.
If it's a fun game, I think a better title for it would be Fun Cry.
Fun Cry.
Yeah. Fun Cry 5.
That's a
whole
far cry
different
from
genre.
Yeah. Honorable mention number 3, I'll talk about The Messenger. And when the game first came out, I've talked about it like 2 or 3 different times on this podcast now. And when it first came out, I enjoyed it a lot. I went back recently and played it on stream and enjoyed it a lot less the second time than I did the first time. Like, a lot less.
Oh.
And that speaks to the, not the replayability so much, because they're adding a new game plus to it. It's just getting the same experience again and trying to convey my enthusiasm from the first playthrough into the second playthrough. It didn't carry over well. The game still feels fantastic and absolutely earned a place being talked about for Game of the Year. Obviously, in my opinion, not great enough to be one of the top contenders. It was personally one of my top contenders, but I was the only one of us that played it. Yeah. And that's what all 5 of these honorable mentions are. It's all one person played each of them, so they didn't get very many votes. Messenger, fun game. Check it out. I recommend it if you're into Metroidvanias. Get it. If you're kind of into them, wait for it to go on sale and get it. It's still worth a playthrough. Kyle, let's hear about Ashen. Honorable mention number 4.
I'm still in the middle of streaming that.
You still talk about it. Oh, you played it for like 5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a really vibrant world, and you could tell they put a lot of thought into the lore of the game, which, is a lot's borrowed from the Souls games, because clearly that's an inspiration for this project, for this developer. I feel like it borrows heavily from the Souls games to a point where it's a detriment, because it doesn't feel as complex as a Souls game with, all these different builds.
Gotcha.
The movesets feel very similar. The combat doesn't really feel like it branches out too much, aside from a few relics that you can equip to gain different, passive effects, something like that. But I heavily enjoy just the way the game looks.
It's very unique aesthetically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How the characters don't have faces, and the art style, it looks kind of paint-like.
I will give it this.
It looks kind of
I
paint.
love how it incorporates these side quests for these characters.
Uh-huh.
And the world itself is more open than a Dark Souls or Bloodborne.
I noticed that.
Because it's not as so much linear as those games are, but it's more like an open world.
And it kind of makes that style of game a little bit more accessible. It's a little bit more of an accessible version of the Souls style game, in my opinion.
I would say so. Like, for you, for example, you've never played them before.
Right.
I would say this is a great entry into that kind of gameplay. But for me, it's just not a very rewarding experience, because even though it encourages exploration in the open world while you're doing these side quests, the rewards aren't very, exciting to get. I'll always be, going off another tangent and ending up finding another spearhead for the 20th time. And it's just like, okay, I've already collected this. It's not worth the effort.
Yeah.
Because you can only make spears from them. But, I mean, it's pretty enjoyable. I'm sure I'll finish it.
$40 retail?
Yeah, I think that's way too much. Because I got it on Game Pass, and
Right.
I don't see myself ever buying the game.
I could see it being a $30 game. And most of that's just based on the art style.
Yeah.
And the ambiance, the music, the sound effects, the characters.
I just enjoy, doing a quest and then a main quest and coming back and seeing the town built up.
Yeah.
That's the rewarding part of the game.
Gotcha.
Seeing that community grow.
Gotcha. Honorable mention number 5, last but not least, Dead Cells. I'm kind of sad that this didn't make the top 10. I was the only one that played it, which I think is the only reason why. Otherwise, if Kyle would have played it as well, I think it would have gotten quite a bit higher on the list.
It's on my backlog for sure.
It is an incredible game. I talked in the past about how tight the controls are. It is the best feeling, Metroid style roguelike ever, in my opinion. The weapons are all varied enough. The spells are all varied enough for it to be, for it to justify as much variation as there is. And I know a lot of people don't like the roguelike style, especially in a Metroidvania where you have to keep going through over and over again and just, it changes the way the rooms are. But honestly, each setting, each level is different enough from one another that it's okay going back through the same levels over and over again. And there are branching paths too. So when you beat the first level, the second level you go to can be like 2A or 2B. It's not you're always going through the same every time. The boss fights are very varied. It sucks to say, but it's a really good game. It's very atmospheric. Its story doesn't matter, but it has one. It's a really good game, and I recommend it to anybody that likes either Metroidvanias or roguelikes because it's great at both.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out at some point.
It's worth it, and it does have its Dark Souls kind of background to it too, because you collect cells instead of souls to
Similar
be able to
enough,
upgrade
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, and if you die, you lose them.
Yeah.
But in Dead Cells, once you die and lose your souls, you can't collect them again because everything rearranges.
Oh, I see.
So once you die, you're dead. But you can spend them at the end of every level to go for upgrades and stuff. But very good game. It's on Steam. It's on Switch. I think it might be on PS4. I'm not sure about Xbox One.
I think it is.
Okay.
So I think I looked it up to try to see if it was something I wanted to download.
Gotcha. It's a pretty cool game.
It's a beautiful looking game.
So now we're in the top 10.
Top 10 time. All right. These are our games of the year, and they are in an order that we ranked them in. So the last one will be our game of the year, but it's really the top 3 that matter, in my opinion. All these games were good. Some of them better than others. It's just it so happens that some of us played some of them more than others. And that goes with game number 10, which is Project Warlock, a game that I've been playing on stream lately. It's an old school first person shooter, takes inspiration from Wolfenstein 3D, from Heretic and Hexen. It's once again, like with Dead Cells, every level, every environment is varied. I noticed not just the enemies, but even the pickups for like health and mana and ammo. Maybe not ammo, but health and mana and the like barrels and stuff that you break open. They change based on the level, like the frozen level, Antarctica. All the mana and health pickups are crystals. They're like frozen health and frozen mana. It's just little differences.
Little
like that.
details like that
Exactly.
make the game even bigger than it feels.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it feel like the developer gave a damn about actually making a game that people would enjoy playing every level, and it wouldn't be the same. Because back in the day when that style of first-person shooter was a big thing, there weren't that many of them, but now there's tons of them, and people can go back and play Doom, people can go back and play Wolfenstein 3D, et cetera, et cetera. Every level is varied enough that you want to keep going through, and I'm actually wanting to beat this game, and I'm going to sometime soon. I wish I could have before recording this, but it didn't happen. Fantastic game. I think it's $12 full price.
Nice.
So totally worth it. Absolutely 100% worth it.
And there's enemies encased in entire ice blocks
Yeah, those
that
are
shoot
great.
lasers at you.
Those are great.
That took me by surprise. Like what I really enjoyed from watching you stream that is the way the hitboxes work and the animations that play when the enemies are hit by your, like, say your shotgun.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
that ice enemy in particular, it would like break off chunks of ice. And then he would like fall out of it, and then you'd shoot him one last time and he'd die.
The Yeti creature, how you'd shoot it and one of its arms would pop off, and then
Yeah.
you'd keep shooting it, and another one of its arms would fall off, and it'd still be trying to attack you with no arms.
Yeah,
and waddling
it's
up to you.
crazy, man. I give him props for that.
It is great. The guns feel exactly how you'd think they would. The
Yeah.
pistol is old school first person shooter pistol. It's not that powerful, but it's all the weapons are upgradable.
And the sound design for the weapons is really good too.
Oh
It's really
my God.
satisfying to listen to.
The minigun, when you get the minigun, oh my God, I felt amazing. I think I yelled during the stream about how happy I was when I got that gun. It's fantastic. And when you upgrade that, you can get an upgrade that makes it so it takes away that wind up that most miniguns in games have, so
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
shoots
I hate
automatically and increases the damage.
That's cool.
Feels great, sounds great, plays great. Lovely game, $12. Get it. If you don't like old school first person shooters, play this and you very well might like old school first person shooters.
It might be something I'd check out because I only watched you streaming it for briefly. It was like
Gotcha.
10 minutes, and
Okay.
it was you going against the Sphinx.
Yeah.
And
That's the boss fight.
when I first saw
He's
it,
the second boss.
I thought it was, or I didn't think it was Doom, but I was like, hey, that looks like Doom.
Yeah.
Because that's my only experience with those
Yeah,
old
That's your reference, yeah.
yeah shooters like that. But it might be something I check out.
It's a really good game. It's
If
only
it's on
on
consoles.
it's only on PC right now.
Well, never mind.
But
I'll watch you stream it.
I'd say at some point, I'm sure, or you just go to your work computer, get it for $12. All right. Number 9. Another one that only one of us played. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Wow, that should be higher, I think.
Wow, that made.
Ouch.
I'm kind of surprised it made it on there.
It made the top 10. It just came out, though, too.
It did.
And
Maybe that's why it's not higher.
Well, that and I have no interest in it, and Robert doesn't have a Switch.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not higher.
Well, I'll say this. This is definitely one of the top additions to the series. It is a fantastic game to play. It's really fun. Like, when I first picked it up, I played solo, and it wasn't until I had my younger brother over one night, and we were playing together, and I was like, oh, yes, this is what Smash is all about.
Right.
It's about having your friends over or your family and just having a hell of a time beating the shit out of each other. Pardon me.
I didn't get my time stamping ready.
But, man, they really upped their game, Nintendo, with the effects of the characters. Like, it's really satisfying now because it's like a nice balance between smashing and like slicing sound effects, because that's what really irked me about Brawl and Melee. It wasn't so much smashy. It felt like you were kind of just having these like swish effects more so than Smash, and it's like actually effective now.
Gotcha. Like with Project Warlock, the sound, it makes a big difference.
It really does, yeah.
It makes you feel more invested in the game and what you're doing.
But the amount of content in this game is staggering. Like, I would like say this is like the biggest game of all time by Nintendo, even more so than Breath of the Wild.
Well, they have all the old characters from every iteration of Smash, don't they? Plus
have
new ones.
Over 70 characters, over 900 stages.
Jeez.
They have tracks from every single franchise that's featured in the game as music.
Oh my goodness.
And they have online play, they have classic like arcade mode and training mode and all this other like story campaign, which is its own huge thing. Like, the game has a crap ton of content.
So it's more than just a love letter to the series. It's a
I would
love letter
say
plus
it's like a
an
magnum
iteration.
opus of like all of these
Fantastic.
franchise. Yeah, like it's just immensely packed full of love for these characters.
Gotcha. So as somebody that doesn't enjoy that style of game, and particularly Smash, I'd play Mortal Kombat over Smash personally.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I would get enjoyment out of it?
No,
Okay.
knowing you, no.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Do you think Robert would get enjoyment out of it?
Robert, I would say, would have fun only for the fact that, you know, we'd be playing together.
Gotcha.
If
That
it was
sounds accurate.
if it was solo, you wouldn't have fun. But if it was with friends, you'd
That's
have fun.
accurate.
Okay, so as a fan of the franchise then for you,
Yes.
is it better than you expected?
I would say yes, because for me personally, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I think that was like the culmination of all of my like the reasons why I didn't like the previous entry, Super Smash Bros. 4,
Gotcha.
is because they had characters taken out that were in Brawl.
Oh, okay.
They didn't have Snake. They didn't have I think Starwolf. And they're missing a whole bunch of other characters that were already in Brawl from 10 years ago.
Mm.
And this game just kind of owned up to that. It's like, yeah, we're going to satisfy everybody who's ever played Smash. And now it's like back on track again, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Wasn't there one character, though, that still isn't in it that people were upset about? Like Waluigi or something?
Well, that character's never been in the game.
Okay. Just remember seeing a bunch of memes about it.
I mean, we got King K. Rool finally. We got Ridley finally. That's huge. We got Simon and Richter Belmont finally. Man, that right there was like, I gotta play it now.
Yeah.
Like, those characters are super fun to play.
If I was a fan of more of the franchises that are involved in Smash, I would probably play it just to play those characters in a different setting.
Well, I was gonna say, there's like a character for everybody, because there's over 70 of them.
Yeah.
There's a franchise in there that you like.
Is there, though?
Well, you're a Mario fan.
I've liked two Mario games. I've liked a lot of Mario games. I've only really liked 64 and Odyssey.
Oh, okay.
What about
Super Mario.
Zelda in it?
Yeah.
Or
of course.
Link?
Yeah, Link's in it.
I liked.
Don't you like?
Yeah, speaking of which,
I liked
Zelda
Ocarina of
games?
Time.
Link is
And
finally
Link to the Past.
back in good shape. Like, that's another thing that's pissed me off about the older games, is Link has been terrible in them. But this one actually looks like he might be decent.
I love the Donkey Kong series. So King K. Rool,
man.
Yeah.
He's fun as hell to play. I highly recommend you check that out.
I want to get, this is going off on a little bit of a tangent, but this isn't an awards show. This is a podcast.
Cue the
Donkey
music.
Kong Tropical Freeze. I never got a chance to play it when it was out on the Wii U before, because I, like 99% of the rest of the world didn't buy a Wii U. And now I have a Switch, and I kind of want to go back and play it.
You should. They're fun games.
Yeah.
I haven't really played one since the first Donkey Kong Country Returns on the original Wii.
I haven't played any since
they're
Donkey
fun.
Kong Country 2 on Super Nintendo. Was the last one I played.
I would highly recommend it. I think you have fun playing it.
Gotcha. So normally for a Game Awards show, this would be about the time we talk about esports for a while. We'd have world premieres that weren't really world premieres, just trailer world premieres.
And we'd have online celebrities on stage.
Yeah. Ninja's coming to Portland. We could get him down for an episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
connections.
totally do that. Then we'll get some listeners finally.
We appreciate each and every one of you that
Thank
listens
you.
to the show. He says that as a joke. But seriously, tell your friends. You guys ready for another?
This is number 8.
Number 8. It's another one that only one of us have played.
I think I know.
What is it?
Well, if I'm wrong, I don't want to be wrong.
Well, now you're on the spot now.
No, that's fair, because he doesn't want to give away a game that's later on in the list.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah.
It's Forza Horizon 4.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang it, I should have done it.
Let's hear about Forza Horizon 4. It's the only close to a sports game that's on this list.
So yeah, Forza Horizon 4. So I know I talked about it a lot previously, but it was kind of like how you were talking about Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that for me with the Forza Horizon series. It was like the ultimate embodiment of everything that series does well. Sadly, I haven't played it as much because right after that, I think Spider-Man came out.
Gotcha.
Or some game like that. So I didn't play it too much, but it feels so good. The racing mechanics are perfect. All the different weather systems really punched it up instead of it just being like a boring,
Right.
open world, just the same season like the
Right.
previous one. The different seasons really did add a lot, and I never thought they would leading up to it. I was just like, oh, it'll be cool. But
It looked like a cheesy gimmick to me when I saw
Yeah.
the trailer for it.
but they really did add different styles and nuances to the same map, and it made you feel like it was a whole different area. And just the polish that they put into those games, like from the menus to everything like that, the music curation, everything was just like perfect.
How does the driving feel? 'Cause that's the key.
Well, I don't like sim games,
Yeah.
and so it's a lot more arcadey.
Good,
It's still
okay.
somewhat realistic,
Good.
but it's like you can drift all you want. You're encouraged to drive off jumps, do
Right.
donuts, stuff like that.
That
Nice.
sounds
So
like fun.
it's a lot of fun.
It sounds like a great game.
Yeah, and
Fun's Horizon 4?
I sense a theme. It's gonna be the fun box.
Project Funlock.
Super
Smash Fun.
Super Fun Brothers.
That sounds like an entirely different genre altogether. Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah. One thing I really enjoyed this one, they try to add story elements to it. Like there is kind of a base story where like, hey, you're this driver coming into this tournament, you rise up the ranks. But they added this new I don't know what to call it in a racing game. It's not a quest line, but it's a series of races that you do, and I think there's 20 of them. And each one was inspired by a different racing game series.
Gotcha.
Oh.
And so there was
That's interesting.
a Gran Turismo themed one.
Was there a Mario Kart one?
Um,
Or F-Zero?
I didn't get very far. I only did like
that'd be
5
cool
of them.
if there was an F-Zero one.
But so it's kind of like a little love letter to these other racing game series too. And each one was like kind of something that game was known for, and then they put it in this game for like a quick little 5-minute thing.
Nice.
It was a cool nod, and I really enjoyed those.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That was really cool. Would you recommend it to Kyle?
I would, and I
I know
have.
you
wanna
tried to
play
sold
it.
it on
I
him.
do
I know.
wanna play it.
I know.
I want to play it.
You know,
You
I
gotta
actually
hop
want
on
to
it.
play it too. It's.
It would be a fun one to all play together.
I agree. If I had an
Yeah.
Xbox One, I would really.
Because I played, I think it was Horizon 2 with my friends back in the day, and we would just have so much fun. We were like messing with other racers. And
Sounds like something you do in real life.
Messing with racers.
Yeah.
not me, him so much, not me, but no. I drive like a grandma most of the time. That's how I live vicariously through this game.
If I ever
your impulses.
if I ever became what you guys call an X-bro, I wouldn't do that weird X high five bump fist bump thing that you tried during
Made total
the
sense.
Game Awards.
We made X's and we bumped each other at the same time.
But if I had an Xbox One, I would totally get that game just to play it with you guys.
And make X bones with us.
I would.
Or-
it'd be triple X bones.
This
Or when
is
it's
triple
on-
X Bros.
On PC with crossplay, if they do that.
This is a safe for work
Rated
podcast.
AO. Triple X Bros.
Triple X Bone Bros is what you said. X Bone. Yeah. Oh, it's my turn to say
Number 7.
say a list, isn't it?
Number
Say a list,
7.
say a name. Number 7. Okay, we're finally getting into the territory of games that 2 of us have played, so there's going to be a little bit more discussion on
Cool.
it. And sorry, Kyle, but number 7 is Spyro Reignited Trilogy.
Wait, you played that?
I've talked about it on this podcast.
When did you play it?
It's the day it came out.
Whoa.
Remember, he bought it for Ashley,
Oh,
and
that's
then
right.
he played it too.
I'm mistaken. I'm sorry.
It's just yeah,
It's joy.
it
What
really
it
is.
At least for me.
And for me, it's not
Yeah.
even a childhood thing because I did play maybe the first level, the first like area of Spyro when it first came out, but I didn't care for the game back then. But seeing what it is now and the graphics to it, the controls for it, everything feels like a 3D puzzle platformer should.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of 3D puzzle platformers, but this one, I see why it was such a big game back in the day. And just knowing the level of attention that they put into making this a perfect recreation with modern graphics and making it so you could actually use 2 analog sticks for it.
Yeah. Now, I'm with you too. I didn't have a huge investment in it in my childhood. I played a couple levels at a friend's house, but it was always one of those franchises that I kind of looked at from afar because I had an Xbox and I was like, I really want to play that.
Yeah.
It was mostly because I like dragons, but yeah. And so this was kind of like, this was fun when I was a kid for like the half hour I played it, but
Right.
I want to try it now. And yeah, it's fun. It's a complete departure from most games I usually play.
Same.
So it was like fresh experience, and it was a blast from the past. Just going through a level, getting the dragons, unlocking your gems or whatever, and that's it. You're not doing all these quests. You're not doing all this stuff.
I'm a big fan of the collectathons when it comes to that style of game. If it's just an old school game, like I think I could play Ukulele. I've never played it, but I think I could play that game and be happy with it over the collectathon that is like Far Cry or Assassin's Creed, like a Ubisoft game. This style of collectathon appeals to me. That's what I loved about Mario Odyssey. It just takes me back to my childhood, makes me not care so much about things.
It's
joy.
not taking it as seriously as like a story-driven game
Right.
of something more mature would. You're just there to have fun and to
Exactly.
glide around and roast those.
Something serene about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Roasting the sheep or the
Yeah.
frogs.
Or like the Norks.
Yeah, right. No,
the-
Nork is the Nasty Nork.
Nasty
is
Nork.
the main guy.
What are
bad guy.
his minions called?
I forgot.
I forgot to, but the ones that moon you when you turn your back to
Right.
them.
Yeah. How far did you get while playing through this remaster?
I got to, I think, the third hub world.
Yeah, that's about where I got.
So like getting into like the ice
yeah,
areas, I think.
sure.
Maybe? I don't know. But I know I got past the first one, and then I did the desert one, and then I was on the next one after that.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
What'd you think about playing it, Kyle?
No,
Not your alley.
I
Not up
never
your
played
alley?
the originals.
See,
so
I
it wouldn't
hardly
do anything
did.
for me.
I hardly did, but it's still, in my opinion, I think you'd get some enjoyment out of it.
I tried playing the demo, I think, for the original Spyro, and I just
Like I said back then, I had no interest in it and
I had
didn't like
none,
it.
Yeah,
But as an adult, it brings me joy. As an
I will
adult,
say though, it's a gorgeous looking game.
it really is.
Like they did a really good job updating it.
They really did, and that's not to
The
talk
music,
about
too.
the subtitles or whatever. Subtitle gate. Because everything has to be a gate. Yeah. I think it's worthy of being on the top 10. I'm glad that it made the top 10. Mm-hmm. And in all fairness, I did forget about it when I was making my list until I saw Robert's list. And then I'm like, okay, I got to add it to mine too.
I wasn't sure if we were doing remakes and remasters, but like I've only played like 6 games otherwise. So
if it was a game that was like Diablo 3 couldn't be on it, even though it came out on Switch this year, I don't think that would count because it's been out since 2013.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about number 6, and this is a game that I can't talk about, and I can't remember if Kyle can or not, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh, no. I haven't played it.
That's only Robert.
That's me as well. That's the game I am still currently playing now. It is... I loved Origins, and I love this one even more. It's gone even more into the RPG side of it, and it's so much fun. It's gorgeous. The protagonist, I think, is why I'm enjoying it so much. I'm playing as Cassandra.
Gotcha.
Good for you.
I thought Alexios
looked... that.
I couldn't stand him in any of the marketing. He just looked like a dope.
Not just that, the like voice acting of Cassandra seems a lot better than of... I forget.
Alexios.
Yeah, I just read today that over 50% of people picked him over Cassandra.
Really?
Yeah.
I know my friend that was playing it, he picked Alexios. And it said because he didn't want it to be awkward during the romance scenes.
How would it be awkward?
But, I don't know.
What if you made a female shepherd and she got on...
That's what I was going to say. I played as... My favorite playthrough of Mass Effect was as female shepherd
was so much more fun to play as
the
male
Well, it's just him because he's got his girlfriend and his daughter at home and he didn't want to have romance scenes. No one knew what they were going to be like, if they were going to be like Mass Effect scenes or whatever when we got in.
They kind of go a little in depth.
It's not, they kiss and then it goes black and that's it.
Well,
but
why would he feel awkward about that?
You really hung up on this.
Well, it's interesting. Because if you're playing a guy,
I can give
it's the same thing. It's a man and a woman. It's just opposite viewpoints.
Do you want me to give you his phone number so you can chat it with him?
I'm honestly curious.
Don't ask me. I played as Cassandra and I was romancing everybody.
Good for you.
Not the old lady though. That was weird.
I think I'd romance the old lady if I was.
If I could go back, I would.
If I could turn
old
back
lady.
time.
Long story. But
so did he romance the old lady?
I don't know.
You have to.
I don't keep tabs on him.
Well, usually you're a lurker, so in streams.
He doesn't stream. He doesn't stream. Anyways, it's
never mind.
It is a wonderful game, and I'm still having a ton of fun playing it. Like as soon as I was done with Red Dead, I was excited to pick it back up again. And I think it's because it's such a tone change.
Gotcha.
And like the style of movement and everything. But
this was number 2 or 3 on your list, wasn't it?
This is 3 on my list.
Okay.
Yeah. All my top 3 were it was hard to choose. But yeah, like I said, Cassandra is what I think is making it so fun to play because the voice acting, the animation, just everything about her is like it's a really good character for you to embody, and the story is really cool. There's no assassins or Templars yet because it's before Origins.
Right.
And so it's streamlined, it's simplified, and there's just so much to do. Like, I love that. I know you don't care for that as much, but I love doing every single side quest I can.
Me too.
Finding all these things, like all the legendary animals.
I do it. I just hate that I feel the need to do it. I liked the sense of completion from doing it. I don't like how much needless stuff there is to make me get that feeling.
See, for me, I like it because I want to spend as much time in that world before I move on as possible. So it's like, it's extending it for me because I don't want it to be over. Yeah, it's always that point when I get to a game when I finally unlock that last section of the map and I'm like, this sucks. I've seen it all now. And so I like that it keeps me invested.
I understand that. Yeah. My feelings about Ubisoft are not secret. I have no interest in playing this game. I did play Origins, and I did like the changes. And I know that this just takes what they were trying to do with Origins and makes it more, I guess, open as far as an RPG goes because you have the dialogue system.
Yeah.
And you get to choose whether you're going to be Alexios or Cassandra, and the romance options. Woo! It takes what Origins did well and did it better.
Yeah.
And bigger, I suppose.
And it's, I was going to say it's a blend like with Black Flag too, because of you have your ship.
Right.
And you're doing ship battles and stuff, and it feels so good. So it's like blending Origins and Black Flag, which to me was like...
It takes the best parts of each.
Yeah.
It makes it a really stellar game.
It's beautiful.
I hated that the naval missions in Origins were there because they weren't optional. I do enjoy
and
them.
They weren't like...
I did enjoy them when they were things that I could just go do and just like wreak havoc in Assassin's Creed 4. I could just go out to the open sea and just wreak havoc as a pirate.
It wasn't an open world. It was a linear mission. It felt out of place.
It really did. I don't like the linear naval missions.
Yeah.
If they did it better in Odyssey, then
like I said, it's just like Black Flag. You have your ship.
Nice. That's
you
good
upgrade
to
it, and do whatever. And you just the whole world, because most of the world is ocean. So you just go out, pick a fight with any different faction you want, and
that's cool. Yeah,
ram through ships. It's fun.
Nice. We ready for that? We're already halfway through the list, boys.
Number 5.
This is number 5 right here, and this will be mostly Kyle talking about it, but I played it too. Number 5 is Detroit: Become Human.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I'm kind of surprised that a David Cage game or a Quantic Dream game made it into any Game of the Year list that I am a part of.
That's kind of surprising to me too.
But it was much better than the others.
I would say this is the best David Cage game.
I agree.
This is definitely the best one so far.
I agree. I didn't finish it, but even what I played of it, I enjoyed. I didn't want to stop playing, but it got to a point where I was playing the whole thing in front of my fiance. She was watching me play, so she didn't want me to play without her. And then it kept getting to the point where I had to keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So and then she ended up saying that I could play it without her, but I didn't want to because I wanted her to see the story too.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get a chance to finish it before life took over.
Yeah, this is a game where it follows the viewpoints of several characters, but it did it a lot better than Heavy Rain did. Heavy Rain was all over the place, but Detroit was really great in that it focused only on 3 characters instead of 4, which was already a lot. But it made it into an intimate progression of character development. Like you see with Connor, I feel like he was the best character this year in gaming.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the actor who plays him, I can't remember the name for the life of me, but I think he did an outstanding job portraying that character.
I could see that.
I feel like his progression, based on your choices in the game for him, it just made total sense in the context of the story. Especially by the end of it. I was just on the edge of my seat. I couldn't wait to see what was next. And I think that's what this game captured really well.
I loved that each story was each of the 3 androids that the story is around they're completely different.
Yes.
At the beginning, I'm not going to give too many spoilers about the actual game itself, but at the beginning of the game, Connor is he's a police officer. He helps out the police. He's partners with a detective. What's his face?
Hank.
Detective Hank.
That's his name. Yeah.
He's just obviously the straight man for Hank's "I'm too old for this crap" character.
They played off well. Of each other.
And Kira, that's the female one's name, right?
Yeah.
She's essentially the housemaiden of some single dad and the daughter that's emotionally abused and maybe physically abused. I couldn't quite tell if they were going that way with it or not, but she was, caring for the girl while cleaning the dishes, doing the monotonous stuff around the house that you actually have to do when you're playing the game. Yeah. They make you pick up the trash, do the laundry, do the dishes.
I kind of like it when games do that.
Yeah, I thought some people thought it was just monotonous David Cage stuff, but I thought that it really got me invested in that character.
It kind of puts you in their shoes a little bit.
Yeah, this is what that character is supposed to be doing. This is how the guy, the owner of this android, sees it as property and tells it to do this, tells it to do that, and the whole point of the game is becoming more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I forgot the other guy's name, the other android,
Marcus.
He was actually friends with his quote unquote owner, and the son of the owner gets involved and stuff happens. But the fact that there's actually a good relationship there between android and human actually saw the other end of that and how it could go so quickly wrong, and why another reason why the androids would want to rise up and revolt and become more than what they are. And I think parts of it, a lot of it is actually relevant for relevant commentary on social things going on around the world today.
Yeah.
It's also a really fun experience to play as a video game if you don't want to get into the real life stuff behind it. You can enjoy it as a video game for what it is. It plays exactly like other Quantic Dream games, so it's walk here, investigate this, do that.
It definitely incorporates action-based scenes better,
right?
Which is why I enjoyed this particular entry more
than
previous games.
Connor, you do have the detective vision, which
is awesome. I love that.
I hate that in games. It's a trope that's overdone. But it makes so much sense as an android to have that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it makes perfect sense.
Playing Connor my favorite out of all three.
It's a really well told game, well told story that plays exactly the play style is nothing out of the ordinary. It's exactly what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the story and the characters that make that game. It's good, and I think Robert should play it and I should finish it.
I really want to play it.
You need to, yes.
I fully plan to early next year.
Nice. Mm-hmm. You'll have to let us know how that
along
goes.
with God of War.
All right. You guys ready for number 4? You sure you're ready for number 4?
We're getting there.
Because I don't know if you're ready for it, because I would think that you guys would both think it should be higher, but it's Red Dead Redemption 2.
I had a feeling you were going.
Made number 4 on our list. Like I said, that's mostly my fault. I didn't play it, so it's not on my list.
I think it's just because you didn't want to see it win another Game of the Year award.
It sabotage music at the Game Awards.
Sabotage.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, what was that about? Anyway, gush about that game for a while.
Robert, you've actually finished the game. I'm still relatively early in the game. So I think you should take the floor, sir.
A lot of what I loved about it, and I can't go into too much because you haven't finished it yet, but
spoilers.
It was, obviously, I love the first one. I love most of what Rockstar does, and it expanded on that in every way. It was gorgeous. The acting, pretty much of everyone, was incredible. I think Arthur Morgan was my favorite character this year, and I fully believe that Roger Clark deserved that best acting or best character, whatever it was at the game. Best performance.
Yeah.
Because especially towards the latter half of the game, it's a fantastic character. And I wanted to point out, when you were talking about Detroit just a second ago, about doing like household chores and stuff like that, that's one thing I loved about the camp system in Red Dead, is there's chores there that are optional. You don't have to do them. But I loved like doing them, just like sleeping at camp at night.
Yes.
And then when you'd wake up in the morning, I'd do a couple chores. I'd chop some firewood. I'd drag some bales of hay to the horses.
I've done that several times, yeah.
It just felt, I don't know, it just felt good. It felt cool just to like try to immerse yourself and like live as this character.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, because I was going to say, it's like what I mentioned earlier this year when I first played it. It's Westworld. It is. Like, I mean, granted, you're, a specific character, but everything you do in the game has an impact on the environment around you. Like basically, if you rob a bank or something, people remember that. They'll be like, "Oh, you're not allowed here. Like, get out of here, scum," and stuff like that. Like, everything you did had an impact on those around you.
Yeah. And one thing I'm missing in Assassin's Creed now is just being able to walk up to any NPC, like hold the left trigger and say, like, "Howdy, ma'am," or "Good morning."
Howdy, partner.
It was such a simple mechanic, but
it grounded you.
Yeah, the game world, which I've never put too much emphasis on immersion in a game. Like, oh, I got to feel like it's a living, breathing world. I got to be in it.
That's a Kyle
But-
thing.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not mocking you.
But this game did it so well that it actually stood out to me, and I'm like, holy crap! Yeah, I can see why when it's done right, it really makes you feel like you're in it. Just from everything from the weather to the animals, the foliage, everything, the people.
Everything has a reason
Yeah.
for being there,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I think it is such a highly regarded game.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite feature of it is how each weapon feels unique. Like even simple things like being able to customize the weapon's capabilities, like its components, as well as the markings on it, like that amount of customization. I just feel like it really grounds you in, just you being in that world, which is why I always try to compare it to
Westworld.
because it is. It's amazing. Yeah. It's such a marvel, like, to imagine how this much time and energy was put into one single game.
And it shows.
It shows, like, everywhere.
And I love the movement, personally. A lot of people were saying, oh, it's too slow, sluggish or whatever, but it felt perfect for the game and for the character, and it made you think more about what you're doing. And
More methodical.
Yeah. And I loved it personally. I felt like it gave the game a unique feel that not really getting from any other game I'm playing. So
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So my takeaway from it is I love what it's done for being able to do random stupid crap that you shouldn't be able to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
like
two
sacrificing to the
demonstrated.
blood gods.
the two highlights I made of Kyle's stream of that, his most recent stream of that from less than a week ago, or over a week ago by the time this comes out. He got into the back of some guy's carriage, and the guy was trying to get away from him, so he tried to make the horse go faster, but Kyle was in the carriage with him, so he wasn't going anywhere. And then the guy just keeps looking back, going, "No!"
He
So
has a meltdown.
Yeah, so he jumps out of the carriage and just keeps running forward and looking at Kyle the whole time. Just leaves Kyle and the horse behind, and just,
Yeah.
all right, cool, dude.
Lots of great moments. Like the little random interactions and encounters. Like even I know that was fabricated, but there is lots of stuff that's like that. That's just natural to the game.
It just feels so
That's-
organic. Like
yeah.
you come across it naturally. Like it's actually happening spontaneously, even though it's not.
The guy panning
It
for
feels that way.
gold that gets
Yeah.
really upset at you
Yeah.
for getting close to him. You just get in a fight.
Or the guy that's shoeing his horse, and then if you get down and say hi to him,
Right.
the horse kicks.
I mean, for me, it was that ride back in the Valentine and that bar fight happens in the saloon. That was such an immense moment.
That is a standout mission of the year.
Man, that
Arthur
was-
getting drunk with Lenny.
Oh, God, yeah, that was great. I love that.
The
That was hilarious.
the story is really good. It's a really well told, 80-hour movie
I gotta play
basically.
it. I gotta beat it.
And it makes me sad to hear the statistics that 10% of people actually finish the story of even the first Red Dead,
Oh.
because most people just want to roam around and
Yeah.
play cowboys.
Like me.
So it's
It's called the Skyrim effect.
Yeah,
That's good. That's true.
but it's definitely my favorite story of the year. And there's a little part in the middle that was a slog that I didn't care for too much, but it's definitely towards the end when it picks up. It's
It's good.
fantastic.
Nice, nice.
I'll probably end up picking it up once it's on sale. A good enough sale.
I think even just to mess around with
if
it.
I could get it for $40, I think I could get my $40 worth.
Yeah, and be one of those people that only play 10% of the story.
Right. It's just $60 right now. I have too many games that I want to play, so
Right.
$60 is more than I'm willing to spend on a game at the moment. Any game, unless it's one that I've been looking forward to forever. But I do plan on playing it at some point. It's just because of the random stupid crap that can happen. One question before we move on to number 3. Did they ever fix the random horses tripping lighting on fire? Because if they fixed that, then I'm gonna wait till it goes on sale for $20.
I don't know if they did or not. I haven't heard.
Okay,
I have no idea.
Let us know, because it's worth $20 to me. 20 extra bucks. I'd pay $40 if they kept that in. All right, I know most people, especially the three of us here, know what the top 3 games are going to be, and probably have a pretty good idea of what order they're going to be in.
Yep.
But number 3, I really, really want to look for. I've been really looking forward to talking about this for a while now.
Okay.
Number 3 is Celeste.
Yes, sir.
I thought that was going to be higher.
Number 3 is Celeste. It wasn't higher because you didn't play it, and it wasn't super high on my list.
Gotcha.
It wasn't super high on either of our lists. It was high on
Yes,
both of our lists,
yes,
but it
it
wasn't
was.
number 1 on anybody's list.
Indeed.
So it made number 3. And I think while it was, for me, it was, I think it was my second choice.
It was also my second choice for Game of the Year.
I think that's why it hit number 3.
Yes.
It was an incredible game. I was blown away. Like, when the game was first announced, I was like, oh, it's a colorful Super Meat Boy.
I had no idea it was even out until I saw it was nominated for Game of the Year. I'm like, oh, maybe I
Really?
should check this out. Yeah.
You had never heard of it?
I mean, I saw the 10 out of 10 review on IGN way back in
Didn't
January.
I talk about it on the podcast like way
I
back
thought
when?
so.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I did because I got it when it first came out.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why it's so high up on my list.
Yeah, I just took a shot on it, and wow. I mean, I'll let you go ahead.
I'll
if you
start, and then I know you have a lot more to say about it than I do. When I thought that it was just going to be another Super Meat Boy style game, I was like, okay, I've played Super Meat Boy. I kind of skipped The End Is Nigh because I didn't want to play another Super Meat Boy. But then I started watching more and more about Celeste, and I'm like, okay, it's not just the graphics and sounds that are different. The movement mechanics, there's a lot more variation in the movement mechanics, and it just looks a hell of a lot more fluid than any other game like it. And then the levels, I started seeing the variation in the level design. I was like, okay, I'm getting this game now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard the music when I first opened up the game, and I was in love.
The music is incredible.
I don't have any idea how or why that did not win the Game Awards for Best Music.
It is honestly, it baffles me.
I'm pretty sure the people at Rockstar would have agreed that Celeste should have won that.
Yeah, they knocked it out of the park with that soundtrack.
It is incredible. The controls, which I know Kyle can go into more detail about as well, are fantastic for that style of game. And
Super responsive.
You'd think for a game that all you have to do is jump around and avoid obstacles, that the controls wouldn't be that big of a deal. But no, it's the biggest
it makes
deal.
Everything about the game work.
Yeah. The way that the mechanics intertwine to create other mechanics that you don't know about until when you're through going to the B-sides and C-sides.
It was incredible. Like, I kept discovering new things about the game.
The game teaches
as
you new
I
things.
continued to play.
The game teaches you new things in the B-sides and C-sides.
Yes, it does.
It is fantastic. So even after you beat the main story of the game, there's still more to even learn about how to play it after the fact. That doesn't happen in most video games.
I mean, most people would probably just, give you the basic controls, and then anything after that would be considered like a glitch or something.
Right.
But they actually name these moves
And the
put them in
bird
the game.
tells you how to do them.
Yes.
Yeah.
The damn bird.
Yeah. I want to hear you gush about it, Kyle. It deserves everything you're about to say.
It would be higher for me, but I had a dilemma this year. I had this dilemma of having to complete every open world game 100%. And I think this is why I put it above Red Dead 2, is because by the time I got around to Red Dead, it was a fantastic game. I love it. But when I took that shot on Celeste, it just reminded me so much of why I love those kind of games. Like, I just feel like it was such a breath of fresh air after having played through Horizon Zero Dawn, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Assassin's Creed Origins, and then Red Dead 2. I just was like, man, I'm so burnt out on open world games.
Because you played all of last year's open world games this year.
Yeah, like before God of War came out, and that too is considered
Right.
an open world game, kind of.
Yeah.
And man, I just was like, golly. And then by the time I got into Celeste, I just was immediately sucked into the game. Like, I could not put it down.
Yeah.
It was a hell of a lot of fun. And
It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
I
you play.
streamed the
It really
hell
is.
out of the game.
You streamed one part of one level for about 6 hours one day.
I did that like 3 times. The C side for Summit, the C side for Core, and the B side for Summit were like the longest ones.
Yeah.
But the game just encapsulates what I love about gaming in general. It gives you a sense of progression while feeling like you overcame a challenge, and it's so satisfying when you get the crystal hearts at the end of the B sides and the C sides. I just was like, man, I've been missing that for a long time. That sense of accomplishment, that sense of achievement, like since the Dark Souls days, like when those were my top games. Like I feel like what Celeste does is all at once deliver amazing music, amazing gameplay, and that fact that there's so much to learn about the game's mechanics. Like it was a constant surprise. At every level.
You know what I think the key is there is that Celeste, with each of those the hearts that you get, you know that you've earned it when you get it, and that's where that sense of accomplishment comes in, is that you have worked for it. And a lot of games, if they're not fun, then they don't get away with giving you that same sense of reward.
Oh, absolutely
like,
not.
For me, Dark Souls, I don't like that style of game, and I don't like the atmosphere of it. So the reward of beating a boss in that game wouldn't have the same feeling to me as getting one of the hearts in Celeste does.
Well, for me in particular, I'm referring to like collectibles in open world games.
Okay.
Like you can only do that so many times before it's, a universal thing that you can expect in any open world game.
Right.
But in Celeste, you have to actually put in your entire effort to earn it.
That's why I don't compare the two.
I know, but I mean, for me, like, that shift in gameplay was, like, a huge awakening to me. Like, I'm extremely looking forward to more of Cuphead next year.
Yeah.
Because I streamed that as well, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And same thing with Celeste. I heard there's some DLC they're working on for it.
That's exciting.
So
that is exciting. I want to see you stream Super Mario Odyssey and collect all the moons.
That's an interesting comparison. I didn't really think much of Odyssey. I feel like the game just tried to slow you down too much.
Really? I got the complete opposite feeling from it.
Because in between levels, you had to wait through a tutorial, and as well as when you boot up the game, you have to wait through a tutorial. With Celeste, you just dive right in. If you die, it's instant respawn. Like,
what do you mean?
That's what adds so much replayability to it.
What tutorial are you talking about?
In between levels, as you travel on the ship, you have to sit in the ship with your hat guy, whatever.
Okay.
And he kind of gives you like a small tutorial every time.
Well, it's
between levels.
It's just a way to pass time during a loading screen.
I know, but still, it was annoying.
Okay.
But with Celeste, it's like boom, you're in there. You're
loading a level in Celeste is a lot. There's a lot less to load than in.
But that's what made my enjoyment of the game so much more.
Makes sense.
Immense.
That makes sense.
And I just wanted to mention one more thing about the story of Celeste, because I don't think that gets enough credit.
Oh my god, I completely go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, this game is in response to like mental illness and how everybody carries that within them.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this game incorporates that and makes it relatable to everybody, because you play as Madeline, and she's in conflict with her inner self, which comes out as a physical manifestation of her. I'm not too sure what it was specifically, but it kind of felt like doubt.
I think that's the majority
like
of it. It's doubt, self-loathing, self-doubt,
which I can relate to. As
most people.
I
think most people our
people
age, especially people that are into what we're into.
But there's a moment near the end where you get the double jump. And it's like you coming to terms with your inner self, and you're working together, and seeing that, like, reflect the gameplay as being able to double jump. I was just like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. Like, it was awesome to live that moment.
It is an incredible way to talk about mental health and to relate it to people that normally think of it as a hindrance, because that's what the first half of the game is you trying to run away from that negative side of yourself that you don't like,
ignoring the problem.
You realize that you can't get away from it. It's better to work with it, and you get better because of it. And that game, making it, like you said, integrating it into the gameplay, it just encapsulated how great of a storytelling device it actually is.
Yeah, it really took me by surprise.
It took me by surprise when I was watching it.
Yeah.
I legitimately was getting goosebumps watching it, because I'm like, this is amazing. This needs to be seen by the world.
Yeah.
More people need to see this game.
I mean, I'm ashamed that I only found out about it because it was Game of the Year nominated. Like I was like, damn it, I can't be a hipster, you know?
Well, that's just it about it.
You don't want to be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This game hasn't gotten the attention
No, it has
that
not.
it deserves
No.
because a lot of people were, like you, taken aback by it because they hadn't heard of it before the Game Awards or before IGN's 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Stuff like that. It's a game that didn't get the recognition. It did get a lot of positive recognition, such as that 10 out of 10.
It has now, yes.
But it deserves to be in the forefront of everybody's mind for 2018 games and going forward. For how the story was told and how it deals with real life situations, it deserves to be talked about. It's an incredible game.
And I will say that it helped me find myself and made me realize I am insane.
I think we saw that live.
Yeah.
The streams, man. Wow, I had a great time streaming it.
I'm going to try to go back and get some highlights from that because that was incredible.
And shout outs to Echo 81 for, coaching me and getting me through those last Seasides. I needed that help, that support. That was huge. Thank you.
Top 2 guys.
Top 2 games of the year.
We all know what they are.
I think I know.
I think
I have a good idea.
everybody
Yes.
should know what they are at this point because they were on the forefront of what we talked about on this podcast for the better part of this year.
Yes.
Number 2 was a game that took me by surprise. Took Robert by surprise that I bought it. It was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Marvel's Spider-Man.
Yes.
It was the game that jump-started my marvelous adventures of going through and watching all of the
That's
MCU
true.
movies.
Yeah.
We still need to do our bonus episode. It is still coming. We haven't just... It's not like the Banner Saga. It is happening. We just haven't gotten the time to do it, but...
Yeah, I have not
Holidays
played this
is
game,
hard time.
but I want to hear more about it, so go for it.
As far as an open world game goes, it does everything kind of by the book. It has different types of missions that you do all around the world. It opens up the world a lot earlier than most other open world games do, and it's smaller. But that's not necessarily a hindrance because of the game's main strength, and that is the traversal.
Mm-hmm.
Web slinging throughout the city feels incredible.
It's addicting.
It is. It's the lifeblood of the game, and it made me want to do those monotonous things that didn't feel monotonous because of it. Mm-hmm. And just because of the traversal through the game, you could approach combat in different ways. You could perch at the top. You could be like Batman and perch at the top of a corner of a building and then dive down and kick everybody's ass that way. Or you could just web sling and then it's just there's so many approaches, variations in combat. J. Jonah Jameson's comments throughout the entire game in his radio show that he has.
That was a stroke of genius, making him being a radio host
Right.
instead of the newspaper. That was a
Right.
great way to bring him into the
It made it
story.
so you hear him, but you don't have to stop and read like the collectible the Daily Bugle papers that are around New York. But
of course, he would be that in this day and age.
right, exactly.
Makes sense, yeah.
That's another thing though. It took everything that works with Spider-Man and put it in the modern age, and didn't make it so 90s like everything else Spider-Man that I have any familiarity with. It felt really great as a modern game and as a Spider-Man game, and got me, like I said, interested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is incredible because watching those movies at first didn't do that for me. But Robert, go for it.
Yeah, it's. I put it as my number one. It was so hard choosing between that and, like I said, Red Dead and Assassin's Creed because I loved all of them so much. But what put me over the top is I love Spider-Man, and it reminded me of Spider-Man 2, the game that I love so much.
Not the movie.
Oh, now you hold on. No. We'll talk about that during the Marvel podcast.
Oh, I'm excited.
But it made me buy a console for it.
Right.
I wanted to get the Spider-Man PS4 Pro
you did.
for it.
Yes, you did.
And because I was so excited, and it did not disappoint. Like I said, the world, it's open world. There's collectibles, but they're not overwhelming like Assassin's Creed.
Right.
It's manageable. It's easy to 100% the game, which is the first game I've 100%ed in years.
And it has a really high percentage of 100%. Like, there's a high percentage of platinum trophies from that game. It's the highest platinumed game in PlayStation history.
See, it's good. Not every game should have to be like super elitist and have to be really hard to try to get
Right. Oh,
everything.
goodness.
Yeah.
No, it does
it's-
not.
It's nice to be able to accomplish
Yes.
it and say you did it.
Right.
And for me personally, I loved it. I liked the story. It wasn't like an amazing story, but it was a solid story. I loved all the villains they pulled in and like reinvented or changed a little bit. I just love how they, like I said, updated it for the modern age. And they tweaked little things. They weren't trying to fit it into the MCU. They weren't trying to fit it into any established
Right.
like
It was its
story
own thing.
It was its own thing. They made their own choices and liberties, and it was amazing.
The story didn't really get me until towards the end.
The end, it had some emotional beats.
It really did.
Yeah,
And they were expected. Most of what happens in the story, you can tell is coming from a mile away. From the beginning of the story, you can tell most of what's going to happen at the end of it. It's not hiding the outcome of the story. But there were parts of it that just stuck with me. And it's incredible that just based on the relationships that Spider-Man has, that Peter Parker has in that. Spoiler: Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
what? And Spider Cop.
Spider Cop.
Spider Cop.
Oh my God, his back and forth with what's her name? I forgot her name.
Yuri.
Yeah, her back and forth with Yuri was just incredible.
It's funny, the guy who voices Spider-Man, his name's
name's
Yuri
Yuri
in real life.
Yeah.
He did also a fantastic job of
Yes, he did.
bringing the character to life and voice
Yeah,
acting
he's got
and
a
stuff. Yeah.
huge history of voicing a lot of video game characters, so that's cool to see him in this role.
He did the perfect Spider-Man. It made
Yeah.
me excited to watch Spider-Man Homecoming, which I know is a totally different Spider-Man. But I could see the Spider-Man from Homecoming grow up to be the Spider-Man that was in
Yeah.
the video game.
The hair on the character model still was kind of, it was always kind of weird looking to me, but
I didn't pay attention to that, honestly. It did slow down at parts in that game when you have to do the stealth portions as Miles
Oh,
and
not
as
the puddles?
as MJ.
It didn't slow down with the puddles?
No, they took
Okay.
away some of the puddles, so it didn't have to slow down the console.
That's my only reference to this
Right.
game, so I had to get that in there.
Man, you would love this game so much.
I need to play it.
You
I
really
do.
would.
You would honestly really love it.
I need to play it.
It's not overwhelming, like Robert was saying, as far as the open world stuff goes in the sense of Assassin's Creed. It doesn't have like an overwhelming amount of stuff that doesn't make any difference whether or not you do it. Everything has a purpose, and it's all for upgrading your stuff anyway. So it's fun to do.
the combat is so fluid and fun.
It's
and
slick,
punchy, and
Yeah.
the amount of different like web things you can do. Like you can do bombs, you can do traps, you can do.
It was just missing the comic book, like, bang, pow,
Yeah.
zing. It was missing that. I think that would have actually, if you could turn those, like, on and off,
Right.
it would have made that, just that with the cell-shaded suit that you can unlock, that would have,
I liked how the suits they each had a different power, and once you unlocked the suit, you didn't have to wear that suit to get that power. You could interchange the powers with whatever suit you're wearing.
Oh, that's
Right.
kind of neat.
That was a
Yeah.
nice touch.
yeah. I stuck with the first suit that I unlocked, I stuck with that power throughout the entire game. I tried all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. One time or another, I tried all of them.
I only liked the Web Blossom. It
I
was
like
most
the
useful.
electricity one where you punch one guy and just shocks, and then everyone else
Yeah.
gets shocked. And,
I did stick with that one for a couple of missions. The fortresses,
those are a lot of fun.
what are they called?
The gang
Gang hideouts, yeah.
yeah.
They were so much fun. And the bonus objectives on them made you think of different ways to try to play through them.
Yeah.
And it made it even that much more fun. And talking about other open world games, particularly Ubisoft games with Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, I loved the bases. Those are the most fun things in that style of open world game to me are the bases, because you have to approach it in a stealthy fashion and try to not be detected for as long as possible. Spider-Man, that doesn't always happen. But you can start off being pretty stealthy for quite a while until that first wave is done, and then once the second wave spawns, everybody knows where you're at immediately. It creates new and inventive ways of using your tools, and it kind of forces you to think about what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And they have the typical enemy types that have like shields and
Yeah.
higher armor and stuff like that make you hit harder, that you have to hit more, hit harder, whatever. And
the jetpack guys.
the
those
jetpack guys
sucked.
and the guys with the electric whips that
Oh,
throw
yeah,
you
I
down
hated
to the
those
ground.
guys.
But there's counters to everything, and every counter to that is another fun way to use to utilize what you have available in the combat. It's an incredible open world game. My second favorite open world game of the year. And are you
Well, I did want to say one last thing
Go
is
for it.
it's the first game that, since I think the first Mass Effect, that I wanted to go back immediately and start playing on a game.
New Game Plus.
New Game Plus
Gotcha.
mode. Because I wanted to experience everything again.
I still am going to, once the third DLC comes out, which is this month. Soon. It's coming out soon, Kyle.
I think next week. Somehow.
It's coming out.
I mean, wait, this week. Okay. Soon.
I'm gonna buy the first season pass, and I say first because I think they could add more DLC past that.
Possible.
But the City That Never Sleeps is for the first 3 DLC packs, and I'm gonna try to play them all back to back, and I might stream it. Twitch.tv/pushingbuttons. I don't know why I whispered that, but Twitch.tv/pushingbuttons. But that just leaves the game of the year.
The final game
The final game of year.
for the Pushing Buttons podcast.
I don't think it's a surprise.
Game of year. God of War. What a game. God of
Fantastic
War was... Oh my God. I was shocked that it won Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
Me too. Yeah, that blew me away.
I was completely shocked. You can see the reactions on our Twitch VODs.
True.
Twitch.tv/pushingbuttons.
Yeah, we were literally blown away.
Literally.
You're taken aback.
I was just ready to get up and leave because I was like, oh, it's going to Red Dead. It's going to Red Dead. It's got to go to Red Dead because everybody's saying Red Dead, Red Dead, Red Dead. But no, God of War got it. And it was
Thankfully, yeah.
a very, very worthy recipient of that
I would
award.
say it's a very earned award for them.
Just based on Chris Judge's attire at the Game Awards.
That was something.
Chris Judge, I think, for me, is Performer of the Year. As far his performance was the best of any video game that I played this year, as far as a voice actor goes. Kratos is my character of the year. Very, very, very close to where I hold Spider-Man, because that Spider-Man, that version of Spider-Man is great.
Yeah.
Kratos was incredible this time around. I never fully got invested in Kratos as a character in the original God of War games because I couldn't identify with that level of fury.
That anger.
I really couldn't. But in this game, he's not just looking after himself; he's looking after Boy, and it's more relatable
Yeah.
to the point where you actually feel what he's feeling. If you're the type of like empathetic person that gets involved when you're playing a video game, I'll go for it, Kyle. I could ramble
I'll say
on.
this. I think what this game did so well was that for God of War, I mean, that game, I played all the God of War games. Like, I even played the PSP ones. And Ascension. And I think for
That's some
me,
dedication.
I closed the book on God of War. That legacy was done. I
Yeah.
thought it was over.
Right.
And then when this reboot, or I thought it was a reboot at first, when it was first announced.
Yeah, I did too.
I wasn't really hyped for it. I felt like, well, we've kind of been there, done that, you know. And of course, it comes out and it's like 10 out of 10 Game of the Year nominee already, but it was released back in April. I have to say though, like the way they wrote Kratos in this game, it was definitely inspired by games before it, where there's like a father character and a child character that you have to take care of. Like, say, for example, Walking Dead or Last of Us.
I
And-
always refer to Last of Us.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the gold
The prime example of it.
yeah. But seeing this older Kratos, like, seeing him in comparison to how he used to be in the older games, it just opened up this whole new legacy of Kratos. Like, I'm trying to think of the word here. Basically, the character development for him, it's like a whole different path. Like, you see this whole new side of him.
He's a more multi-dimensional character.
Yes,
you
he's
can
more fleshed
empathize
out.
with him more.
Yeah.
He
because-
became human.
Basically, yeah, because he was a god. And he's now in this Norse like just that prospect alone, it's like, holy crap.
I thought the setting change was going to mean nothing to the gameplay.
I didn't think so either.
Oh my God, was I wrong?
Yes, the first time I threw that axe and called it back, I was like, oh, hell yeah. That felt so freaking cool. If you play the game, you throw that axe, you call it back, you can be like, holy sh...
The last time the last time I had that feeling, and it didn't quite live up to what God of War did, was with Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, throwing the lightsaber and it coming back. If you throw the lightsaber as a saber attack and then switch weapons, your saber hilt will just drop on the ground. And then if you switch back to it, it calls it back to you. That's cool. I always thought that felt really freaking cool to do.
I mean, it's just amazing. Like, when you throw the axe and he calls it back, he just brings his arm up. There's this awesome thud. It feels perfect.
It is so reminiscent of Thor and Mjolnir.
Yes.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Yes.
And honestly, with the game in the setting and who made the weapon, it's a lot like Mjolnir. It's
meow meow.
Meow meow. Meow meow. Oh my God!
It's such a great game.
The Orc brothers in that game were fantastic side characters. I don't care for side characters. I guess they're the Dwarf brothers is what I meant to say. I don't care for like side characters in like Dragon Age Origins. Some of the side characters were okay to listen to. The guy that enchantment that was always a blast. But I didn't care about Morrigan or Alistair. I didn't really care about any of them, and they were kind of main characters in that game. Whereas in God of War, just those two dwarf brothers made the side stuff in between what you're doing just come alive even more.
I mean, it's incredible when you have a character like Mimir, and he's like your guide in this.
I forgot about Mimir, and that was what made the games.
When you get to the Lake of Nine,
I want to feel that way.
The Lake of Nine is like the central hub, and later in the story, you come across Mimir, and he becomes like this guide to you. And as you're rowing across the Lake of Nine, he gives you lore on the Norse mythology.
I love Norse mythology.
Oh my God,
too.
it was so great listening to him talk. Like, I just wanted to listen to his stories all day.
The really great thing about that is how much attention they paid to detail and made it so that it was obvious Kratos didn't care. He didn't want to listen to any of this.
No.
But boy, kept wanting to listen to all of the stories that Mimir had to tell him. And it's just that getting in the mind of Kratos, he hates gods. He's had this history with gods. He doesn't like his past. He wants to run away from it. He wants his son to have nothing to do with it. Atreus will not have any knowledge of Kratos being a god or his past life.
Yes.
And Mimir's just opening up this whole new world of knowledge that Kratos did not want him to have.
Yeah, and it's great to see the juxtaposition of Mimir's tales and Kratos' realism.
Yeah.
And it was like so enjoyable to listen to. Just that kind of debate.
Mimir being a humorous character to begin with,
yes,
it just made it even that much more fun to listen to. Mm-hmm. I purposely would keep waiting around in my boat, waiting for Mimir to stop talking, because I didn't want to accidentally skip any of his stories.
Me too. Absolutely, yep.
So I'm imagining like a little, like crinkled old guy.
You're close.
You'll be surprised at how
robe or something
accurate
like
you are.
Yeah. You own the game. You play it.
Yeah.
You need to. Yeah, it's incredible.
That game will own you.
The gameplay is phenomenal. The combat is super satisfying, especially with the runes you equip to make your weapons more unique. It complements your playstyle. So you could have like a charge attack or like a constant tapping attack, or just like a huge magic wave or something for your axe. And it was just, it's so flexible.
And like with Spider-Man, there were times when it'd be more preferential to use a certain style over another, depending on who the enemies that you're facing, the number of enemies, et cetera, et cetera. But it didn't really punish you for not changing tactics. If you had one style that you're comfortable with, then you could stick with that by all means for the entire game. Unlike Spider-Man, you can't really do that.
Yeah. There's a point in the game where you can fight the Valkyries, and I actually kill them all. And I was surprised at how lenient they were. Like it's still a challenge, but it wouldn't like punish you for having the wrong runes equipped or something like that.
Right.
You could still attain victory.
It's not like a raid in World of Warcraft.
No.
Where you have to have the exact right set of items equipped.
But other than that, though, like the look of the game is like holy crap. Like you saw the room, what's it called? The bridge. Damn it, what's it called?
The Bifrost?
The Bifrost. Thank you. Thank you.
Bifrost
That's what I was trying to think of. The Bifrost is freaking amazing to look at.
Uh-huh.
Like the graphics, the particle effects, when you travel to the different realms.
The tree.
The tree. It is a kick-ass game.
Idris, something like that?
Yggdrasil.
Yggdrasil. Yeah. I was close. I forgot the who.
The World Tree.
The World Tree, yes.
But man, it's just little things, like all these little details in the game, like all the environments, all the set pieces, all the boss fights.
Robert looks like he's getting amped up to play it.
I want to play it.
It's
but
why
I like to finish a game before I move to a next one.
I can't do that.
But as I mentioned,
I did finish God of War, though.
Way back, like it blends open world with linear
Yeah, it does.
perfectly.
It makes it so you can go back, and that's the best thing about it, honestly, is that you can backtrack and open up new areas, especially in the Lake of Nine.
The Lake of Nine, yeah.
Because as the world, what was the big serpent? The world serpent.
The world serpent, yeah.
Yeah. Every time the world serpent moves, the water level goes down a bit, so it opens up some new areas and new chests and new portal challenges.
And you would think that's repetitive, but it's super fun to explore.
It really is, because you get to hear more stories from Mimir.
Yes.
Mimi.
Like I was just rowing for hours, like hitting all of those golden shinies in the water.
Yeah.
While listening to him talk.
Uh-huh.
And I love this.
And those golden shinies, they just keep respawning. You're
They
picking
do.
up the same stuff over and
Yes,
over
but
again.
I don't care.
Right, but you get to listen to Mimir keep talking. Yeah, there's not one character in that game that felt out of place.
Not at all. No.
There was not an overabundance of characters.
I think that's what contributed to its strengths.
I completely agree. There were a few side characters. There was the witch that you meet pretty close to the beginning. There's
Freya,
the dwarf
yeah.
brothers. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, that might be a bit of a spoiler.
Oh, right.
uh,
It's okay.
yeah, the dwarf brothers, and then there's the people that keep constantly attacking you throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much all the characters in the game that you
Yes.
need to worry about,
Yes.
besides Mimir and Atreus and
Mm-hmm.
Kratos, obviously.
And I will say, I think what also made it such a standout game is that it took this character that was so defined and it just completely opened the door on the future of this franchise. I think
Yes.
that's what I love about it so much. It's technically a brand new game, but it's like a continuation of a story
Yeah.
for this particular character. Like I can't wait to see what the next game is going to be about.
You can get invested in it. You can get invested in Kratos in the current God of War without having played any of those past ones.
That's true.
But they
yes.
make so many slight references to it. And it's not like they're just making references. Oh, yeah, they're talking about the game that I liked from years ago. They're making references to it to explain why Kratos thinks the way that he thinks.
Yes.
And it's not in an overt non-fashion. It is the perfect blend, like Kyle said, of linear and open world games. The characters were better than I thought they could have been in that style of game, because I
Really
didn't
well
care for
written, too.
any character
Yeah.
in any God of War game before this. Because all the other characters...
They were so disposable.
Right.
back then.
They all just had one emotion they stuck with that the entire time.
Yeah.
And everybody yelled.
Yeah.
Corey, is it Balrog? Corey Balrog?
Barlog.
Barlog. Oh, I was thinking of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, he's not a Balrog.
Well,
Corey
I
Barlog.
don't know.
He shall not pass.
I mean, I would imagine that's a really hard task to take an old game franchise that's well established and like push it forward into a new direction and make it innovative at the same time. Like, I just have to give it up to him. He was an incredible director for this
It'd
game.
be like if they wanted to make an open world RPG out of Parappa the Rapper. Or he wants nothing to do with music anymore.
Because
or onion teachers.
I imagine Assassin's Creed is like this, but the way you develop Kratos from a gameplay perspective, like RPG elements, you level up. You level up your armor. Like, it just made so much more sense for the progression of the game.
And the chests that were found throughout the game, while still kind of being in the same vein as they were in the original God of War games, they didn't feel out of place in an open world. Because a lot of them you had to work for, you had to look for.
Yeah, you had to really keep your eye out for them.
And some of those ones that you had to hit like 3 bells or hit the 3 lights, the 3 runes. Some of those were actually kind of challenging to find the third one or to hit them all within a specific amount of time.
Not only that, but also the other realms. Like, I feel like each realm had its own distinct identity.
Muspelheim can die.
Well, yeah, I didn't particularly enjoy that either. But I loved Alfheim and all the other ones that we got to visit.
Yeah, even Helheim felt great.
It was
honestly
awesome, yeah. It was pretty cool.
Oh my god. That game is worth... I kind of want to play it again now, just talking about it.
Yeah, there's a new game plus for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the fact that they said that game is what the game is. Before the game came out, it's one game, beginning to end, full single-player story, no DLC, no microtransactions.
I'm happy about that, too.
Yeah. And they led up into a sequel. They're just
I can't wait for it. It's going to be incredible.
There has to be a sequel, especially now that it won Game of the Year at the Pushing Buttons podcast.
It'll have a sequel.
Oh, yeah.
There's a new trilogy, don't worry.
I hope they don't. I hate it when something is announced as a trilogy in advance.
This is going to be a great game trilogy.
Mass Effect, I thought the same thing about. They announced Mass Effect as a trilogy. They announced Mass Effect as a trilogy before that came out, before the first one came out.
I was honestly disappointed with God of War 3.
I was too. I didn't finish it.
I did not like it.
I loved
the only one
God
I've
of War.
played.
I loved God of War 2. It was
God of War 2
a
was
fantastic
incredible.
game, and it left me with chills.
Yes.
And I was looking so forward to playing God of War 3. I didn't play much past, I think, the second level, if you want to say that. Mm-hmm. I didn't play far into that game. I didn't care for it.
Yeah, Robert probably remembers this. There's this whole portion with Pandora's box. Because you had to drag it everywhere with you, and I just hated it.
Ugh.
It was horrible.
This had some great set pieces, though. But
It did, but
I didn't have experience with the first two, so I enjoyed it quite a bit. But
I loved the mythology, like the Greek mythology in the in the original games, and the concept of Kratos being the god of war.
I forgot something. Atreus, having him as your combat ally with the archery.
That felt like...
That felt good, too.
It was almost in the same vein as BioShock Infinite having Elizabeth with you.
Yeah.
Like,
It was
wasn't
actually useful, though.
It wasn't an escort mission.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Elizabeth would also like throw you ammo or whatever, but
Oh, God.
it didn't feel like a hindrance to have Atreus around. And I guess that's the comparison I was making with Elizabeth.
Yeah,
but yeah, the fact that you could actually aim and hit the R2 button. For me, it was R2 because I switched the control scheme.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you hit the button, Atreus would shoot at what you're aiming at. It felt really great.
Natural. Yep.
It really did.
Mm-hmm.
You
Very
could
fun game.
control 1.5 people, essentially.
God of fun.
I was going to say fun
That's
of
it.
war.
That's
God
it.
fun war.
God of fun. That's who Kratos is. That's his real identity.
That was the true game of the year, in my opinion. And Kyle and I both put that at the top
Number
of our
one.
lists.
Yeah.
I agree too, and I haven't even played it. So
You will. You'll see the light.
It was definitely my game of the year before like the Game Awards came by, and I was expecting Red Dead 2 to win that. So I was like, it's okay because we're going to have a different game. But no, our game of the year ended up being the same as them. That just means we have really good opinions and ideas and thoughts and experiences.
In the video game industry.
That's what this podcast is all about. Now time to do the intro, right? we never
Yeah.
really do an
What
intro.
did we do in the last 2 weeks, guys?
You know, yeah, if you guys want to stop listening, go for it. That's the end of the game of the year stuff. I do kind of want to talk about what we've been up to the last 2 weeks. What
have we-
Let's
Oh,
do our
we're
normal-
switching it up.
Let's do our intro right now.
all right, now we get
What have
to
you
our
guys
real
been up to?
episode, guys. Buckle in.
Have you done anything the last couple weeks, Robert?
Uh,
We did stream the Game Awards.
we did stream the Game Awards.
Yes, we were on camera for the
I've
very
been-
first time.
Yes,
How was
that
that?
was
that was
interesting.
exciting.
How'd you like that?
Me?
Yeah. Because
I
that was your first time doing it.
Wasn't it your first time too? Being on
Well, we
camera?
streamed before, but that was our first time
but on camera.
on camera.
It was my first. I think it was. I never really expected myself to be like in a podcast format live,
Oh, I see.
and that's what that was. And we also did an unboxing of The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls,
That was
which
true.
was
That's true.
fantastic. We're going to play that at some point.
This weekend.
That might be fun.
Yes, I can.
Oh.
I'm going to be busy for the next
Oh, yeah.
foreseeable.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
I also found out I don't have to take high-res pictures of all the cards for me to do a video on it. There's a
That's
website with all of them up there.
I saw that, yeah.
It's great. Have you played any games the last couple weeks, though?
Just Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Like right after I beat Red Dead. I think that was in the past 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
And then, I've been playing Assassin's Creed. Wanting to pick up Spyro again, but I haven't. And now it looks like I won't be having time for many games for the next couple weeks, so the next episode's going to be boring on that front.
What about you, Kyle?
Oh man, you guys saw what I was up to.
Uh-huh.
That's true. I have been watching a lot of
I've
streaming.
watched a
Streaming,
lot
that's
of
been fun.
twitch.tv/pushing buttons.
Yes, I've been putting in the work.
Been giving me my video game kick.
Yeah.
Man, Celeste was one hell of a ride. I loved streaming that game. You saw how awesome that was.
Mm-hmm.
And holy crap, I would say it's between that and Cuphead for me, for my favorite game streamed this year.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Cuphead kind of edges out a little bit because that was like my first real stream
Right.
where I had like full gusto, and
Who's
I had
Gus?
the
Why do you have his
determination.
toe?
I don't know.
Gusto.
I see what you did there.
That's the way you said it. Gusto.
I mean, other than that though, I haven't really been playing much else aside from Ashen and Super Smash Brothers, and that's really it for me.
That was the cool thing about the Game Awards is that they announced that Ashen was out now.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen the video of my
I love it
reaction,
when they do stuff like that.
I was floored by that.
So speaking of things that I missed during the Game Awards, you guys were saying that, Kevin, you missed the new Supergiant game. Hades.
Hades, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to play it.
Oh,
I've been watching it a lot, and
it's in early access right now,
yeah, and it's only on Epic Games in early
which
access
also
right
sucks. Yeah.
now. I don't like the art style
Really?
for that type of game. It looks like Transistor, but more
It's-
cartoony,
Yeah, a bit more cartoony. Yeah.
and I don't care for that. But beyond that, the gameplay looks odd in a way that I can't really explain. It's not pure hack and slash. It's a roguelike hack and slash, but it's not pure hack and slash. It's got the delays in the attacks feel weird. I hate slow combat. It just looks slow.
I have to watch it again or play it, but
I've watched a few hours of it now on Twitch. And I don't know, I might give it a shot at some point, but I really don't feel like I want to pay money for it. When I could be playing Dead Cells.
One game I forgot to mention at the end of the awards that I thought looked interesting was the new Patrice Désilets game. It's the one where you're like the ancestors of man, and it's going through like
it's like
a million
the
years or
monkey.
whatever. Yeah, I can't
Like the
remember
Planet
what
of the
it's called.
Apes looking one.
But I watched like 10 or 15 minutes on GameSpot. They had him. He was actually playing the game,
Oh, okay.
and it looked pretty interesting. Like you're playing. It's kind of like survival, I guess, because you're a monkey basically. But it seems like it's going to be like different chapters. Like just like going through the history of mankind, how you like learn to use tools and stuff, and it looked pretty cool. I like odd games like that. So
Yeah, nice. I was
I
excited.
remember what it was called.
That game from Hello Games. It's apparently only 2 guys from Hello Games that are
Yeah.
working on it, which kind of piques my interest, honestly. I'm excited to see more about that.
It gives you faith, right? If
Those-
2 guys can make a game like that, then maybe you can finally make something.
Well, not just that. I love Labors of Passion. Stardew Valley really pulled the right strings with me because it was a labor of passion. Project Warlock, the one game that I've been playing the last couple of weeks, it was a game that, well, it was a total surprise, but it's obvious that the guys that made that game care about the source material that they're basing their stuff off of, and that's the kind of stuff I love. I guess that's all I've been doing the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I haven't really been watching any shows really or movies. Nothing.
I've been watching lots of. I've been catching up on old John Oliver Last Week Tonight on because it's on YouTube. At least the main segments of every episode they upload to the Last Week Tonight YouTube channel, which is Fun way to watch it, I guess, because I don't have to pay for HBO that way.
There you
And
go.
it's a legal, legitimate way.
Yeah.
It's a legal, legitimate way. I didn't want that to sound like I said it's illegal.
Illegal legitimate.
Right.
So I don't know if you guys want to talk about this now or during the Marvelous episode, but the new Avengers trailer dropped.
We can talk about that for a minute. Don't go into detail about it, but
yeah.
I did watch it. I'm not a trailer guy, and I watched the trailer a couple times. I'm excited for it.
Were you one of those ones that were waiting for it to drop, and you're just like, when's it going to drop already?
I had no
Or
idea
you were just
about
pleasantly
it until
surprised
you
when you
tweeted
saw
about
it.
it. Yeah, it was your tweet that at Too Spooky for Robert. It was your tweet that got me.
You and I went to Metallica, didn't we? We haven't talked
We
about
did.
that.
We didn't talk about that.
No.
Oh my god! Because we our last episode aired one day before
Yes.
Yeah.
We went to Metallica.
we went. Metallica rocked the Moda Center in Portland, and that was fantastic.
Fun time,
Yeah.
man. That was great.
So I didn't bring this up to you. I was kind of waiting for something like this to see if I could embarrass you a little bit.
Okay.
Your random woohoo throughout the show. Your way of showing excitement for metal is not very metal, but it was fantastic because it was very Kyle.
Man, I don't remember that.
You would
Probably
go,
involuntary.
yeah, it probably was because that was your legitimate reaction. You just randomly go woohoo, like the Pillsbury Doughboy throughout
I was like
throughout
Mario.
the show.
Yahoo!
Hey, I didn't have to. That wasn't me editing anything out. That's great.
He uses that in the future.
That was good.
Man, I gotta say, when they played Fade to Black, that was like a huge moment for me.
Welcome Home Sanitarium.
That was great too.
So if you can find a video of them playing this live, it's not going to be the exact same for you, but Welcome Home Sanitarium, when they started playing that, I described it to Kyle as me having a religious experience. And I used to go to church all the time. I used to love having that feeling, and that's what this did for me. Was it brought me back to, but it was metal, so I loved it.
It was very cathartic.
It was. It was.
Yeah. It was like a long dream of ours that we've had for so long,
Not just that,
and we finally attained it.
absolutely, but absolutely, but it was just one of those moments when you're hearing something that makes so much sense, and you can just close your eyes. And I did. I closed my eyes when they were playing that song, and I was screaming along pretty much at the top of my lungs, and I was feeling every chord, every drum beat. It was
Nice.
it was the most perfect musical
It
experience
was
I've
totally
ever
worth
had in
going
my
to see
life.
them. Man, it was a great concert.
It was worth paying for those effing tickets, man. Those were some expensive tickets.
Oh my goodness! I think it's funny how we didn't remember that, even though you're wearing a Metallica shirt
I
today.
am. This is the shirt that I wore to the freaking concert, man.
It's your podcast shirt.
And since it was in Portland, there was a lot of people smoking that very legal marijuana.
Oh man, there was a lot of that.
I intentionally
secondhand.
said that weird, just so
Yes.
you're aware. I'm
Man,
talking to the microphone like it's a camera. I'm looking right at it.
They killed it though. Even their newer songs, I love listening to.
I liked listening to those live more than I did a lot of their older stuff. Like, I didn't care for Enter Sandman. I've never cared for Enter Sandman, but it's like Sad But True, Fuel,
Yeah,
that kind of whatever.
it didn't have the same energy as their initial recordings.
Fuel did.
Fuel was great.
That was the first song that was like halfway through their set, and they had pyro.
That was awesome as
Yeah.
hell. That was the first time that showed up. And
And
the
that was a lot
fireworks
of
at the end for Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
I know you hate that song, but that was the one time I actually enjoyed listening to that song. It was great.
They had to hit
I loved
like,
it.
all the hits. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was one of the highlights of my year. And I've had a really good year. I went to
Yeah.
Las Vegas in January for my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
I went to Metallica. I've gone to 2 WWE shows, which I don't watch. Since now I don't watch WWE, it doesn't quite mean as much.
Mhm.
Raw, WWE Raw is coming back to Portland in February.
Nice.
I'm so not going.
Okay, not nice.
I don't care. I still love professional
Nice.
wrestling. I just not watching WWE. I'm not boycotting it. It's just it doesn't interest me anymore.
I mean, looking back on 2018 as a whole, I just played a lot of games that were open world, and I wish I hadn't. Even though I know I needed to play those,
You needed to?
yes,
Okay.
because they were huge games from last year. I missed out on all of them, like Horizon and Assassin's Creed Origins and the later half of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really glad I got to finish those this year. But I'm definitely going to go into 2019 playing the new releases as they come out.
And speaking of 2019, in 2 weeks' time, January 1st,
Yes.
actually New Year's Day, will be the next episode of this here very podcast, where we'll be talking about the stuff that we're looking forward to in 2019,
Hell yeah.
particularly February 15th and 22nd, because that's when all the major releases.
And the end of January.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy time.
Insane.
I'll try to come with a list of stuff that's scheduled specifically for February 15th and 22nd, because there's like 7 or 8 major AAA titles
It's
coming
going to
out
be
in
a
those 2
crazy
weeks.
month. Insane.
I just wonder how many of them are going to get delayed.
Hopefully
But
all of them.
We'll talk about that next week. If you want to get in touch with us in the meantime, feel free to leave us a comment here on this very podcast or video, however you're getting this content.
Yeah, tell us your game of the year.
Give us a like,
yeah.
give us a subscribe. Yeah, let us know, like Kyle was saying, let us know your game of the year. You can hit us up on Twitter, @PushingButtonsP. You can hit us up individually on Twitter. Kevin, am at ImpulseG66.
Robert is too spooky for Robert.
The numbers, not the letters.
That's true.
And at Monumentus Kyle,
Up for
where you can get
interpretation.
latest updates on when we'll be streaming.
Yeah, and lately we've been streaming practically every day.
Trying to.
And there's something for everybody, because I am personally a variety streamer. I don't ever finish games. I just play games that feel like they're going to be fun to play. And
In the moment.
I'm super interactive with the audience while I'm doing that. Kyle is the completionist, and he'll play a game to death, and it is
I'm the
incredible.
extremist of the group. Take that as you will.
It is incredible to watch when he gets in the zone, auto zone, for... I should cut that.
Yes, not a sponsor.
When he gets involved, though, that heavily in a game like Celeste or Cuphead or any of those, even Ashen to a point, when you were doing that one room where you kept dying.
Yes.
That just watching you do that and the level of enthusiasm that you have and you bring to it is incredible.
It's hard to look away.
Exactly. Twitch.tv/
It's like a train wreck.
Twitch.tv/pushing buttons. Leave us a follow there if you want to be notified anytime that we go live. However you're listening to this podcast, thank you for listening to this podcast. We will be back in 2 weeks' time.
In the new year.
PushingButtonsPodcast.com is how you keep up with everything that we're doing. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Adios.
Thanks for listening and good night.
Love you for the last time in 2018.
Woohoo!
See you next year.